polite people, they had asked, I had full schedules today, and I was like, yes, I finally got to speak. You know, the great thing is I really am coming home, and it gives you it's nice to be able to walk across campus and not be chased, because that was a few years ago, and that was typically my experience, but I went to high school here. So this is my home. Not only graduating high school, but the 7 years I spent getting my undergraduate degree here, you know, I've got, I don't know, you don't have to do a lot of math on that. But I want to congratulate you for the milestone that you guys have in your professional career. The importance of choosing Baker, it really is a family. I was going up Topeka Boulevard not too long ago, and someone had the license plate, you know, on the back of their car. And it took me 5 blocks to catch up to them. We had our windows down, it was in the fall, and I kind of tapped on my horn, finally got there, and I was like, hey, you know, I'm from Baker. So she was rolling her window up, I was like, no, I'm from Baker. But you're going to have that feeling when you see me, because I know she quickly turned off, but hey, you know, you got to have fun when you're at it. But what I want to do today is just share with you a few things that I've learned. I mean, I've been truly blessed over the last several years getting to work with what I would consider to be truly great leaders. And you have something that you're going to be handed to you that's going to open some more doors for you. But I'm telling you, there's some things that make people just great. You know it when you see it. You wonder why people want to follow other people. I mean, if you think you're leading and no one's following, you're just out taking a walk. And there are certain things that I've learned over my years of being able to see really good leaders and what it is that makes them different. And the first thing that I learned from my dad. I always wondered why people wanted to follow him. I mean, I know he's good looking. Debonair, all those things. But why do people follow him? It was after a while I finally figured out that one thing that made my dad a great leader, because he realized early on that life is not about making other people think more highly of him. He spent his life and his career trying to help other people think more highly of themselves. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Because that's not something you just see. You wonder why people follow other people. And he always placed everybody else first. And you know what? That's hard. Because human nature, we are self-centered people. I mean, we're humans. If you ever have the chance to watch the Ronald Reagan assassination attempt, I know you don't have that on video, but if you ever see it, when that gun goes off, every person turned away from the gun. Human nature, self-centered. They all turned away from the gun, except a few people. There was a few people that turned immediately to the president and put themselves in front of him. It can be learned, but you got to recognize the fact that to put other people's needs ahead of yours is not only a sign of true leadership, it's not natural. But if you recognize it, people will follow you. You build the people around you. You're only as good as the people that are around you. And that's the one thing I learned from my dad about true leadership. I finally figured out, not just watching him, but watching how he treated other people. The second thing that I've learned was from a gentleman by the name of Dale Dennis. He's the other deputy commissioner at the State Department of Education. And one thing that I learned from him is that he doesn't have a price tag on his name. George Washington years ago said, very few men have the virtue to withstand the highest bidder. And Dale Dennis has been at the State Department for over 40 years. He works with the legislature every session and there's not a bill on education that's not voted on until Dale Dennis does a printout to show the effects of every school district in the state. And he's had plenty of times across the years that people wanted those numbers to look something different. And Dale Dennis is respected as a true leader because people know that if something comes from Dale, it's of value. Because he has never sold his name. So you have to decide early on in your careers that your name doesn't have a price on it. Because true leaders don't. The third thing that I've learned about leadership, I've seen over the last several years across the state of Kansas. And I've worked with every superintendent, many principals across the state, and I've seen school districts struggle during good times. And over the last 3-4 years with the recession and budget cuts and letting people go, good teachers, breaking down programs that they built up that were just powerful for kids. But in those times, I've seen school districts that have flourished. And you know why? It was the leaders. Very few situations can bring people down. It is very seldom that a difficult situation will defeat people. It's when they lose faith and hope. That's when people are defeated. And true leaders will instill faith and hope in their people through good times and bad. Now I want to share with you, I read a story about an experiment they did with a rat. Poor rats, they're always used. But they put a rat in a large jar of water, and they wanted to see how long it would tread water before it sank. And they set it in complete total darkness. And the rat treaded water for a little over 3 minutes. So they did the study again, different rat. Check and make sure you're listening. Same scenario, complete darkness, but the difference this time, they shot a ray of light right through the middle of the jar. Just a small ray of light. And that rat treaded water for over 35 minutes. Difficult times, faith and hope is what true leaders give. And some of the best leaders I've seen across the state of Kansas for these difficult times are the ones that were a ray of light for their people, for their community, for their staff. I don't care how difficult the situation is. As a true leader, you've got to instill faith and hope in people. And the last thing I wanted to share with you, Dr. Long, I asked her earlier, what do you want me to talk about? She said about 3 minutes. So no, I got to keep that up. But the last thing that I want to share with you is something that I think we all forget about. And that's the most important thing. That no profit, no gain, no statute is worth losing your family over. I've seen too many leaders, people don't want to follow people that lose their health, their family, their personality. You got to have a balance between work and home. Now you look around out here, everybody in here, unless they're lucky enough to be retired, has a job. Every one of us is replaceable. I could be replaced tomorrow. I try to do the best job every day I go to work. But the fact is, every one of you and everybody in here can be replaced. There's only 2 jobs you can't replace. And that's being a mom and a dad. Some of the best leaders I've seen across the state are the ones that can balance work and home. Because if you can't balance your home life, your success will be limited at work. So I congratulate you on this milestone in your career. Get out there, lead with the mind, but don't forget, most important, you got to lead with your heart. Congratulations.